anyone who would like to come up and sing it with me? Choir, even if you think you're not in the choir, you might be.
Kelly, could you turn the light on in the closet? The spotlight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna knows it. Yes, thank you.
The songbooks are in the closet. Oh, there they are. She's got the songbooks.
Yay! Yay, brave souls. This is our Insta choir. This song is a beautiful birthing, just a short story with Swami Kriyananda. Someone came over to basically give him a piece of his mind, and once this went on for maybe an hour, and Swami was just like, okay, thank you, and he left, and then he went over to the piano, and this is a song that came through after that. Green summer fade and winter draw near, my Lord, in your presence I live without fear. Through tempest, through snows, through turbulent tide, the touch of your hand is my strength and my guide. Sit for a moment. And absorbing the vibrations of that song. And then we'll now do the chant, Deliver Us from Delusion. You guys can sit down.
I think they're over by the gong. By the gong, aren't they? It's number 9. Chant number 9.
Chant number 9.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to cross the ocean of delusion, if you want to cross the ocean of delusion, shaming the white lotus and purity, shaming the white lotus and purity, beyond all holy limits of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Limits of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. In thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. In thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. If you want to cross the ocean of delusion, if you want to cross the ocean of delusion, shaming the white lotus and purity, shaming the white purity, beyond all duality, Guru image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Guru image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. In thy heart, lotus feet of thy in thy heart, lotus feet of thy If you want to cross the ocean of delusion, if you want to cross the ocean of delusion, shaming the white lotus and purity, shaming the white lotus and purity, beyond all duality, Guru image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Guru image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion.
Let's prepare for meditation. Take a double inhale, tense the body. Exhale. 2 more times, tensing, vibrating with cosmic energy. Exhale, relax and feel. 1 more time. Feel the breath now coming back to its natural rhythm. Bring your awareness to the point between your eyebrows, feeling as though you're gazing straight ahead through the forehead at that point. Begin to notice the body breathing, and perhaps even perceiving the breath high up in the nasal cavity towards the bridge of the nose. Noticing the pause at the end of the exhalation, that moment of stillness before the body inhales again. And inviting physical relaxation to the body while keeping your concentration focused at the spiritual eye, the point between the eyebrows. And if you feel to, you can add the mantra, Hong, Saw. With each inhalation, mentally repeating Hong. And with each exhalation, Saw. We'll practice for about 5 minutes.
The affirmation this week is for moral vigor. Lack of moral vigor saps the will and makes the intellect sponge-like, ready to absorb the prevalent opinion of the times. People with good intellects often suffer from the Hamlet complex, the inability to come to any decision or to commit oneself to anything. They justify their indecision by saying, "I want to be fair to all sides." But even an imperfect action is better than no action at all. When you believe in something, stand by it. When you believe in someone, stand by him. Such loyal self-commitment is a higher law than seeing all sides. Energy is needed to accomplish anything in life. With moral vigor, all things are possible. But without it, the end of every act is failure. So please repeat after me in a loud voice, and I will be repeating 4 phrases. The decisions that I make in life come from within myself.
The decisions that I make in life come from within myself.
From my sense for what is right.
From my sense of what is right.
I am committed to the truth.
I am committed to the truth.
And to channeling it outward to the world.
And to channeling it outward to the world.
Now in a normal speaking tone. The decisions that I make in life come from within myself.
The decisions which I make in life come from within myself.
From my sense for what is right.
From my sense for what is right.
I am committed to the truth.
I am committed to the truth.
And to channeling it outward to the world.
And to channeling it outward to the world.
And now repeating in a whisper. The decisions that I make in life come from within myself.
The decisions that I make in life come from within myself.
And from my sense for what is right.
And from my sense of what is right.
I am committed to the truth.
I am committed to the truth.
And to channeling it outward to the world.
And to channeling it outward to the world.
And now, repeating mentally, with no words aloud, just follow as I say this. The decisions that I make in life come from within myself. From my sense for what is right. I am committed to the truth and to channeling it outward to the world. And now bringing the attention to the point between the eyebrows, the superconscious, again silently. The decisions that I make in life come from within myself, from my sense for what is right. I am committed to the truth and to channeling it outward to the world. Divine Mother, with every action of my will, let me express thy divine vitality, thy truth, thy perfection. Let me live to serve thee alone, or else die in the attempt. Om. Amen.
A reading from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. Week 46, the promise of the scriptures. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it and your depthless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 15, we read the famous parable of the prodigal son. Jesus tells of the man who took the wealth bestowed on him by his father and squandered it in foreign lands where he fell into evil ways. At last, repentant, he returned to his father's home. When his father saw him, he was, Jesus tells us, moved with compassion and ran and fell upon his neck and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Fetch quickly the best robe and put it on him, and give him a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet, and bring out the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and make merry, because this my son was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and is found. And they began to make merry. Small-hearted human beings, identified as they are with their little egos, give exaggerated importance to any slight they receive from others. Thus, they imagine God, like them, to be petty, unpardoning, and vindictive. In God's eyes, however, when human beings go astray, there is nothing to forgive. All of us are aspects only of his own self. He who made us resides in us. His call to us always is to return to our own home within. The way of return is described in the Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter. Supreme blessedness is that yogis who has completely calmed his mind, controlled his ego-active tendencies, rajas, and purged himself of desire, thereby attaining oneness with Brahma, the infinite spirit. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome on this beautiful day. We had a little rain last night. It's exciting. And the sun came out this morning. I will be starting with a reading from Whispers from Eternity, Yogananda's beautiful book of prayer poems and demands. Today I'll read number 215, A Million Salutations at Thy Petaled Feet, O Lotus of Light. A million salutations at thy petaled feet, O Lotus of Light. I pour out my heart's love before thee. I pour out my whole being. I offer all the fragrant musk of my soul at thy feet of omnipresence. O precious, blessed one, pipe the song of thy bliss in the dark bower of my heart. I am thy very own, ever shall I be thy own. I will laugh at all dangers, for thy protecting love fills the golden chalice of my constant remembrance of thee. I cast every earthly passion and pleasure into thy sacrificial fire as an oblation of my devotion to thee. In thy blessed light, I will illuminate all shadows and expose as illusory my imaginary fears. In thy radiant light, I will remain awake forever, entranced by thy thrilling, omnipresent bliss smile through all eternity. May thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of my devotion, and may I be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. O make my soul thy temple, make my heart thine altar, and make my love thy home. So we often use that sentence as our closing prayer, and it comes from this beautiful Whispers reading. Today, we're talking about the fable, the parable of the prodigal son, which is a beautiful, beautiful story of unconditional divine love, forgiveness, and redemption. And that's the truth of God's love for us, that there's nothing we can do ever that would turn God away from us. Nothing at all. God loves us no matter what. In the parable of the prodigal son, we hear the story today of the son who asks his father for his inheritance. But if you read the Gospel of St. Luke, the full story, the full parable, talks about two sons. The father has two sons, a younger son and an older son. The younger son goes to his father and asks for his inheritance, and his father gives both sons equal share of his estate. And that's a really important teaching, because in God all are equal, not only great saints, but even in essence those who have sinned most greatly. We hear that every week in the Festival of Light. And that's the truth, that when we embody, God blesses us with our divine inheritance. And that's the spark of God within our hearts and Christ consciousness in our point between our eyebrows. It's in our body, it's in our soul. And our only purpose on this life is remembrance. Because when we incarnate, we forget where we came from. Yogananda said that if we remembered where we came from and we remembered all of our past incarnations, it would be too confusing for us to live in this world, because we wouldn't know who to love and who to have our allegiance to. Although in God's eyes, love is all there is. But as human beings, it's hard for us to have that expansive quality of love for everybody. So in today's reading, as we know, the younger son takes his inheritance and he goes off and travels to foreign lands where he squanders it. And he lives riotously. That's what it says in the Bible. He lives riotously. Today we say he lives evil ways. And there becomes a great famine in the foreign land. And he goes to work on a pig farm because he has no money left. And he's starving. He has a great hunger. And as he's feeding the swine, he realizes, my father has servants at my home. I could go to him and ask for forgiveness, and I could work in his home, and he would take care of me. And as we know, he goes home and has this beautiful, beautiful homecoming. Well, when we incarnate, when we become embodied, that's exactly what we're doing. We take our divine inheritance and we go into the foreign land of ego consciousness, the land of duality and delusion, and we forget. And we sometimes live in ways that don't reflect our true soul nature. And I think every single person here, especially myself, can remember times in our life where we lived in a way that didn't live up to our divine nature. And it's in those times that we begin to experience the famine, the spiritual hunger, where the soul realizes that what it truly wants is God. Because there's 1,000 different ways that the ego will bring us to try to fill that hole we have in us. And the only way to fill that hole, because it's a God-shaped hole, is through God. But we have to go through the hunger, we have to go through the famine, where suddenly we realize that the only way out of this situation is to turn towards God. And that's for most of us how we came onto this path and found our guru, who is our beautiful divine inheritance. In the story, as we know, when he comes home, the father comes running to him and throws his arms around him and gives him an embrace and a kiss. And it's such a beautiful image, because that's how God feels about us, that no matter how far we fall from our highest soul aspirations, God just loves us. God will wait for us 1 trillion years if he has to come back. You know, and the thing that's so important is that we do have free will in life. You know, we have these destination points karmically. You know, when we incarnate, there's certain people we're supposed to meet, certain situations we're supposed to be involved in. But within that, we have free choice. And we can choose to pursue that, or we can choose to turn away. And we can choose to pursue it with God or without God. But we do have these predestined points in our life. And no matter what choice we make, God loves us unconditionally. Yogananda had his own little version of the prodigal son. In chapters 13 and 14 in the autobiography of a yogi, we hear the story of Yogananda, who is still quite young. He's just been in his guru, Sri Yukteswar's ashram for about 6 months, and he's feeling restless with the duties of the ashram and with his college studies. And he wants to go to the Himalayas because he feels, or he tells Sri Yukteswar, that I want to be in communion with the great masters in the Himalaya. And his guru, Sri Yukteswar, is so sweet. He looks at him very lovingly and he said, There are many hillsmen in the Himalaya who have no perception of God. It's better to seek wisdom from a man of realization than an inert mountain. And he was gently giving him the message that I am your divine inheritance, I am your guru. But because we have free choice, he let him go. And if you remember the story, Yogananda went to look for Ram Gopal. And Ram Gopal was a great saint, sleepless saint. And he was hoping that he would receive samadhi from Ram Gopal. So he goes on this journey. He comes to a very famous temple, and there's a round stone for an altar. And now of course, Yogananda's journey is a little bit different than the prodigal son because he's going to find God. He's not going to waste his inheritance, but he's going to find God. But he doesn't live riotously, but he does have a little bit of rebellion because when he sees this round stone, he thinks, well, I don't need to bow to that stone because God is within me. So he doesn't. And because of that, he had a little punishment. Someone told him to go the wrong direction, and he walked for hours and hours and hours in the wrong direction until night fell, and finally a villager took him into his home. The next morning he got up early and went in the right direction towards Ram Gopal, but he walked for 6 to 8 hours in the blazing sun until he felt he was going to pass out. And then Ram Gopal appeared, and took him back. And he just looked at him and he said, "My young friend, you're running away from your master." He said, "You won't find what you want here. He has everything you need. You won't find God in the mountains. You find it in your guru." And so he spent a little time with Ram Gopal, and Ram Gopal did say to him, "You didn't bow before this stone, and that's why you were lost." So he understood then that Sri Yukteswar was his divine inheritance, was his pathway to God. So on his return, he came back, and as Yogananda described it, shamefacedly with his head bowed. And he said, "I'm so sorry, Master." And Sri Yukteswar just looked at him so lovingly and said, "You must be hungry. Let's go to the kitchen and get some food." And then he just talked to him about the fact that he was his pathway to God. And in a few days, with just a few days, Sri Yukteswar blessed Yogananda with a samadhi experience. And that was his version of putting on the expensive cloak and giving him a gemstone and killing the fatted calf. His celebration was the samadhi experience, which is just a really beautiful reminder to all of us. That's waiting for us too. And I'd like to share a story about something. I just finished a book by a very well-known medium who is named Laura Lynn Jackson. She wrote a book called The Light Between Us, which is really, really beautiful. And I feel comfortable talking about this because Yogananda talked about the fact that our departed loved ones are all around us, that the veil between us is so thin, and that all we have to do is think of them in meditation, and they're with us. In the story, and she's not an ordinary medium. She's been actually studied by scientists because her gifts are so extraordinary and so unique. One of the readings that she had was of a middle-aged man who came to her. And as soon as he sat before her, she could see his aura, and she could see that his soul was meant to be an artist in this incarnation, but he had been thwarted. And right away, his mother and father both came through, and she said his mother showered him with love, and the love was so intense that it was pleasant for her to experience. But behind his mother was his father, who had his head bowed in shame and was afraid to come through. But she could feel that all he wanted to do was ask his son for forgiveness. So it turns out that the father was really a deluded man. He had a lot of problems, and he was very violent. And he showed her a timeline with 3 different parts of life. When his son was only 3 years old, he started to beat him, and he felt very, very ashamed of this. When his son was only 9 years old, his son, because his father was so cruel, his son had a collection of stuffed animals that he would kiss and hug and put to bed every night and talk to. And he came home from school one day, and his father had thrown them in the trash. And something in his soul shut down on that day. And then again, when he was 11 years old, he found a cardboard box in the neighborhood, big box. He cut it open, put it in the garage, and he started to paint and draw. He was creating this beautiful masterpiece. And one day when he came home from school, it was gone. And his father had destroyed it and said he was a sissy. So that was another time that his soul gate was closed. And that was it. He just let go of that creative impulse that he had. He ended up taking a corporate job. So in this reading, his father came to him with great, great shame and remorse, but also with the message that even though what he did to his son was a sin against nature, against the law of God, when he transitioned, he was met with nothing but love. Nothing but love. And it was that unconditional love that he was met with that made him see what he had done to his son. And so his son did forgive him. And the other part of this story in this book that is so beautiful is that Laura Lynn Jackson just said that for her, God is an energy of unconditional love, and a love that we can't even imagine as human beings. It's so, so great. And that when we leave this body, when we go into the astral world, that's all we're met with is love, 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 and forgiveness. And the most important thing we can do, and we know these from our teachings, is to be kind to each other, to be loving, to be forgiving. Forgiveness is the greatest gift that we can give each other. And we're only here on this planet, in these incarnations, in these bodies, is to learn to love more perfectly. That's all we're here for. So, we all have some tough relationships, some tough situations. Meet them with love. The fact that we have a guru, we have a divine inheritance of a guru, that's an incredible blessing. So in some ways it feels like, in God all are equal, but in some ways it feels like we got a little bit extra, right? Because we're at that point where we have a guru behind us, guiding us. So be loving, be kind. I'm going to end with just a little letter. It's just an excerpt of a letter that Yogananda wrote to Dayamata's sister, who was called Ananda Mata. And I invite you to close your eyes and imagine that Yogananda is saying this to you. Divine Mother sent me to pilot you out of the clouds of your mind. Everybody's difficulty is different, and he or she has to win the test of karma and Divine Mother. Overcome all by constant inward calling of God and utmost devotion in words, thought, and action, and obedience to Guru. Your troubles I do not mind. I will never give up my job about you. It is better to conquer evil and not go on living with it forever. Never for a moment identify yourself with momentary flashes of error. Have no fear, even when I am gone and no longer visible to your eyes, you will never be alone. I will not only ever forgive you, but ever lift you up no matter how many times you fall. Keep unceasingly trying to conquer, that not only I invisibly help you, but visibly through many here. Divine Mother will help you win through your own efforts and the blessings of the great gurus. So what a great way to go out into the world this week, to go out with love, to go out with joy, to find forgiveness in our hearts, and to honor our guru with this beautiful gift of divine inheritance that we've all been granted.